The night everything changed. What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you on Halloween? I bet it's nothing compared to this chilling tale. Trust me, you're gonna want to sleep with the lights on after this one. Picture this. It's Halloween night, and the streets are filled with kids in costumes laughing and running from house to house. But for some unlucky people, this night of fun is about to turn into a real-life nightmare. Our first story takes place in a small town where everyone knows each other. Sarah, a high school senior, was out trick-or-treating with her little brother when something caught her eye. A strange figure standing perfectly still at the end of the street. At first, she thought it was just another Halloween decoration, but then it started moving towards them. Sarah grabbed her brother's hand and started walking faster, but the figure kept getting closer. Her heart was racing as she realized this was no ordinary trick-or-treater. What happened next would change Halloween forever for Sarah and her entire town. When tricks become nightmares. As Sarah's story spread through town, another Halloween horror was unfolding just a few streets away. Jake and his buddies were getting ready for their annual trick-or-treating tradition, but this year they decided to spice things up with a harmless prank. "Guys, let's toilet paper Old Man Johnson's house," Jake suggested, grinning mischievously. His friends nodded eagerly, already imagining the look on the grumpy neighbor's face. They crept up to the dark house, toilet paper rolls in hand. The night was quiet, almost too quiet. As they started throwing the first rolls, something felt off. The trees seemed to whisper warnings, and shadows danced at the edge of their vision. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the silence. It came from inside the house. Jake froze, his heart pounding. "Did you guys hear that?" he whispered. Before anyone could answer, the front door creaked open. A figure stumbled out, covered in what looked like blood. Jake's friend Matt dropped his toilet paper and took a step back. "This isn't funny, guys," he said, his voice shaking. The figure lurched towards them, moaning. Jake's mind raced. Was this some kind of sick joke? Or had their harmless prank turned into something much darker? They turned to run, but more bloody figures emerged from the shadows. Jake's legs felt like lead as panic set in. This couldn't be happening. It was just supposed to be a stupid prank. In the chaos that followed, Jake lost track of his friends. He ran blindly through the streets, the moans of the figures echoing behind him. When he finally made it home, he slammed the door shut and collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. The next morning, Jake woke up hoping it had all been a nightmare. But the news reports confirmed his worst fears. Something terrible had happened in their quiet town on Halloween night. People were missing, including two of Jake's friends. As the days passed, the full horror of what transpired that night came to light. Old Man Johnson's house had been the site of a gruesome crime scene. The bloody figures weren't costumes. They were real victims who had somehow escaped. Jake couldn't shake the guilt. If they hadn't decided to pull that stupid prank, would things have turned out differently? Could they have saved someone instead of running away? The incident left a dark cloud over the town. Halloween was never the same after that. Jake couldn't look at toilet paper without feeling sick to his stomach. He had nightmares for months, reliving that moment when a harmless trick turned into a real-life horror show. Years later, Jake still feels the weight of that night. He warns kids about the dangers that can lurk in the shadows on Halloween. "You never know what's real and what's just a costume," he tells them, his eyes haunted by memories he can't shake. That Halloween changed Jake forever. He learned the hard way that sometimes the scariest things aren't the monsters in movies or the ghosts in stories. Sometimes the real horror is stumbling into something you never saw coming and having to live with the consequences. A warning to all Halloween thrill seekers. You guys have been asking for the scariest Halloween stories, and trust me, these three are gonna haunt your dreams. But before you go out trick-or-treating this year, let me give you a warning. real danger can lurk behind Halloween masks. So listen up, thrill seekers. Here's how to stay safe while still getting your scare on. First, always stick with your squad. There's safety in numbers, especially when things get weird. Keep your phone charged and on you at all times. If something feels off, trust your gut and get out of there fast. And for the love of candy corn, don't go into strangers' houses, no matter how awesome their decorations are. Remember, the line between Halloween fun and real terror is thinner than you think. One wrong move, and you could end up living your own nightmare.